So welcome to our team call. We are going to keep it short and sweet. We don't really have an agenda. I kind of asked what people wanted to cover, so I have some idea of what people want to hear. But first, I just want to kind of give a heads up of what's coming up. So we have Croctober, or a slow cooker free recipe group, basically starting on Monday. It's already open. I think I posted it in my team page. I think Michelle shared it in hers. So add yourselves. It's awesome to invite to. Like, this is a huge popular group. I made a post this morning and I have 10 gazillion comments on it already. So people love recipes. They love crock pots, especially this time of year. So take advantage of it. It's a great way to build your network. Ask people to invite friends.
I was going to say, let people know too that it's already an existing repository of recipes. We're going to continually add to it, and new participants are welcome to add recipes. But this is a group that we opened last October and we kept it open. So Sarah did a sweep today, or we'll do a sweep, removing out posts that are not recipe related that were in the group, so that there's only recipes right now. And then any new people you have, go ahead and add them, and use it as a marketing tool that there's already a ton of recipes in the group, because that certainly will draw people in if they know that they're coming into something that is already a good sort of resource for them as we move into the cooler months.
And we'll do like participation posts throughout the week and fun stuff, and we'll give something away, some kind of prize too. But just wanted to give you guys a heads up. So if you want examples of how to post, you can look at my page. Anna did one today. I don't know if you did one, Michelle. Michelle did one. And also, just to, you can always just send private messages too to people maybe you want to get to know, or you've been talking to and they haven't been game on a challenge pack or something like that. This is awesome. It's just value that you're adding to their lives. So easy way to message.
Sarah, I don't know if you did this. I always talk about this when we do free groups, because I think it's a really good way to continually expand your network. But I always say in my post, if you want to join, comment below and tag 2 or 3 friends who you would like to have join you in the group. If somebody comments but doesn't tag friends, I will always respond, great, I'll happily add you to the group. We're going to have so much fun. Do you have a couple of friends who you think might want to join the group as well? The reason being is that that's then like a warm touch to your cold market. So, hey, Sally told me that you wanted to join this group. You have to send them a friend request in order to add them to the group. So it's an opportunity for you within a week to potentially add 20 or 30 people to your network who are cold market, but with a warm touch because you have a common friend. So and especially Croctober, everybody loves the crock pot. We're moving into fall. So it's always a group that gets a lot of attraction. So it's a really, really good way to add to your network.
Yes. I was going to say, you're always very good at that.
I always try to remember, because I'm always like, okay, like warm market, like that's who responds to these posts, but then that kind of branches out if they tag 2 or 3 new people. So
yeah. Yeah, that's a good idea though, because I wrote tag somebody, but nobody did. They just said add me. So that's a good response to them.
Yeah.
All right. Any questions about that? Okay. Okay. So I want to go over just a little bit of, somebody asked about kind of what they struggled with is time management and getting their power hour done or their inviting done. So my best advice that I can give anybody is to create a list, work from a list, and that way you're not scrambling and you're not spending hours trying to figure out who to talk to. You have that list. I do mine in a Google Doc, so that way I can literally delete people or I can add people. And I know who I'm going through and inviting every day. So that saves a ton of time. Like, you shouldn't spend an hour on inviting. The other part of it is, if you're struggling with inviting, is to eat that frog per se. Get up, and that should be the first thing you're doing in your power hour or whenever you're setting your business hours. And that's what I do, because that is what I struggle with also. So when I sit down to work at 5 a.m., I am writing out my invites and I'm working through that list, and it doesn't take me an hour. It takes me like 15 minutes. And then it's done. And then I'm not worried about everything else, because that like stress, I guess, is over with. And then everything else to me is easy peasy. So the other part of it is like your morning routine. And for me, I'm not a morning person. I used to sleep until like literally my kids had to get up and get ready for school. That alarm go off at 7, and then I'd still hit snooze. So for me to say I'm getting up at 5 now to work is insane. My husband still doesn't believe me, or not believe that I do that. He comes home at 5, so I'm greeting him basically. But it makes the rest of the day flow so much better when your to-do list is like checked off most of the way, or, just getting up a little bit earlier will definitely help, whether it's to get your personal development done and just kind of set your mind right. That's a huge part of it too. And so just kind of figure out what works for you. But my best advice is eat that frog, like whatever is your struggle, do it first, get it done. And then getting up a little bit earlier than you have to, even if it's just a half hour, and knocking out some of your work. It's definitely going to help you. It's going to help your mind, and it's going to push you forward.
Can I add to that?
Yeah.
For all new pages, if you have not yet read Eat That Frog, I think by Brian Tracy.
Yeah.
Great book. Another great book is The 5-Second Rule by Bill Robbins. If you have not read that book yet, I listened to it on Audible. It was a super easy listen. I actually found myself wanting to binge it because I was hanging on to every word that she was saying. Hesitation is what causes fear. And if you learn how to stop hesitating with the 5-second rule, you essentially are pushing fear out. So that frog, if you're finding that you're hesitating on hitting send, you need to practice the 5-second rule. Don't think, just do. And, there's coaches out there who talk about kind of the methods that they use. And, it's one of those things where the inviting or the adding friends, the adding to the network, those are the things that we have a tendency to push off because they're kind of the hard things to do. They're the things that we allow fear to hold us back on. So getting that done early, getting it out of the way, and not actually thinking about it or overthinking about it is the best way to sort of tackle it, because that's what's going to help to build your confidence. It's just hitting that send button, repeatedly hitting that send button. And then as you start to get responses back, and you might hit the send button 100 times and actually only get 5 responses back. But those 5 responses are going to engage with you. And as you become more confident, your 100 sends become 200 sends, become 500 sends. And your 5 responses become 10, 15, 20. So, it's a matter of just getting out of your head and just doing it. And knowing your products and knowing what they stand for and how they've changed your life, that's going to also give you the confidence.
I agree. Kind of leads us into the other thing that somebody brought up was the confidence and just kind of how do you get started and how do you find that motivation and that drive? And I think Michelle will agree with me. What she was just saying was action will breed confidence. Just literally sitting down and doing it, like hitting send, counting backwards. I used to hit send and run away from the computer or run away from my iPad because it was scary. But now, you know, you build that confidence of doing it and you get people saying yes, you know, and then the other part of that is doing the personal development and working on yourself and filling your mind with positivity. So when you do get those no's, they're like, okay, fine. It's not for that person right now. I'll go help somebody else. And just continually pushing yourself and putting yourself into action will grow your confidence. And I think a lot of coaches slack on the personal development, and that is a huge part of it. I literally laughed at Tara the first week when she was like, okay, so I want you to read this book. And I'm like a self-help book. What do you mean you want me to read this book? You're funny. But I love it. Like I have my husband, he uses my Audible, he reads stuff. It definitely makes a difference when you're filling your mind with positivity rather than junk, you know? And then finding your why is going to motivate you and it's going to get your drive. I feel like I have not been an ambitious person most of my life until this. And I think because I thought about why I wanted it and why I was doing it. And that why is what's going to drive you when you don't feel like doing it and when you don't want to get out of bed at 5 a.m. or whenever. So I think really sitting down, and especially as a new coach, sitting down and writing out why you want this and what you want to achieve from it will make, you know, a huge difference and fuel your motivation. Michelle?
I was going to say, I think when is there a lot of feedback?
No, I can mute myself though.
I think one of the things that anytime I'm feeling unconfident, or I'm, you know, almost 3 years into this and I find myself maybe in a valley, I feel like it's because I think that people expect that because I'm a coach, I'm going to be perfect at everything all the time. And I feel like the lack of confidence comes from wanting to expose where my weaknesses are. So I think that as coaches, we need to also remember that people don't want perfection, because perfection is really hard and perfection doesn't really exist. So as a coach, always remember that this is about sharing your journey as a challenger as well. And knowing that your mess can turn into a message is going to help allow people to connect with you and remind them that, yeah, it is hard to get up every day and work out, or it is really hard to keep your nutrition on point, you know, 90% of the time or 95% of the time or 100% of the time. But even coaches mess up sometimes. Even coaches have periods where they might struggle. And as a coach, it's okay to share that, because then that shows people that we are human beings. We're not these robots. You know, I was talking to people today at work and they were asking me like, oh, you know, how do you get yourself out of bed at 4:15 every morning to work out? And I was like, oh, well, I set my alarm, number one, but like, it's not always easy. And I'm not this robot that 4:15 comes, alarm goes off, and every single morning my feet immediately hit the ground. It doesn't happen like that. I try, but it doesn't. And I think people just need to know that, because we're not robots. We're not going to be perfect. You know, yes, we might push play every day. Some days we might not push play. it's just what comes with life, and that's what this is all about. So I feel like anytime I'm lacking confidence, it's because I feel like I'm trying to steer my journey in a way that's maybe not authentic. And then I become self-conscious about it. And then I find myself in a valley. So I think as coaches, we just always need to be real and be willing to put ourselves out there and share the real grit of our stories and our journeys, and know that those are the pieces that people are going to connect with. And is what's going to help us to then, help as many people as possible. So, yeah.
I agree. I get more comments and likes on stuff when I share what I messed up with than anything else.
For sure. For sure.
So
that's what speaks to people. I mean, I feel like that's when people are like, oh, they're a coach. Oh, and they drink like 4 beers over the weekend. Okay. Because they want to know that they don't have to be perfect. Like, they can embark on this journey and not be perfect too. They have to evaluate what their goals are and determine what they're willing to give up in order to get there. But perfection, it is not what it has to be. And that's not what the name of this game is. So I think that's really important for people to see. Because if we're always showing that highlight reel, I think it makes us seem untouchable. And I think people struggle with connecting with that. So I think it's important to just kind of keep that in the back of our minds, that we don't have to be perfect. It can be messy. It can be ugly. It doesn't matter. People need to just connect.
And as far as like starting to share your journey, don't be embarrassed by your posts. I got the question of like, how do you start? What if you're shy? What if you don't know what to say, type of thing? Like, literally just speak, like write out how you would talk, and share like how your day went, what was going through your mind during your workout or anything like that. And nothing's going to be silly or just be you. Like, that's the most thing I can say, is just be authentically you. Like, don't go copying somebody else's post, and it's going to come off as inauthentic, and it will breed your it will breed your confidence when you're being you and you're sharing you and you're getting that good feedback.
Because you want to, I think, and this is something that I remember thinking about when I was first starting. Like, you, if you're starting in this and you're in this to be a business, to build a business, you're going to want to do this for the long haul. And so if you start off, putting posts out there or sharing about your journey, and it's not really you, it's going to become very difficult to continue that. And if this is something that you're looking to build, you need to be able to do this for the long haul. And so keeping your story and your sharing to be authentic to who you are, that's going to make it easy. If you are creating posts or looking at other coaches and trying to kind of mimic what they've done, yes, you can go on other coaches' pages and kind of get a feel for, what works really well, or how they phrase things, or, what kind of formatting they use, etc. But keep the story authentic to you, because truly it's just going to make it that much easier, because you're always going to be sharing from your heart, versus trying to make up something that you think somebody's going to connect with. That becomes exhausting. So always keep it genuine to who you are, because that's going to make it easy, because you're just going to be sharing from your heart versus trying to create a post that you think people are going to connect with. When they don't connect with that, you're like, why didn't I get any likes on that post? Blah, 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 blah. So-and-so got 50 likes on that post. I got none. Well, because it's not authentic to who you are. So your person did not connect with that.
And think about that when you're posting, is you're posting too. Like your avatar basically is pretty much you. So, or where you were before you started. So when you're posting, talk to that person, and you're going to find your people. You're going to find your tribe. And it's not going to happen overnight either. Like this takes time, and it will happen, but you have to, you know, can just continually do it. What was I going to say? Lost my train of thought. I don't remember.
Does anybody have any questions about that?
Oh, look, if somebody posts like a great idea about, like, let's say they're taking the hydrate and replacing it for Gatorade with their kids. That is an awesome idea. Like, take that idea, but use your own words, obviously use your own picture, and like put your spin on it. So that's definitely, you can definitely do that. But just like, don't literally like copy and paste their words is what I guess we're saying. But definitely, you can definitely take ideas, and that's good. Like, I know I take ideas from people and make it my own.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if you're going to, you know, if you're going to borrow somebody's idea, like if you're not going to change a ton of it, like Sarah and I do this all the time. Hey, your post yesterday was really great. Could I borrow it? Absolutely. But we always have that common mutual respect to say, hey, that was a really great post. Do you mind if I borrow it? Or I, you know, tweak it a little bit. Yeah, I mean, and I will guarantee you that there will probably never be a time that a coach is like, nope, sorry. Although I did have that happen one time. That's a whole nother story. Or if somebody shares a before and after of themselves, oh, there's nothing more telling than before and afters. But just reach out to a person and be like, hey, you know, your Transformation Tuesday post from this week was really, really good. Would you mind if I shared that on my page and tagged you or not tagged you, whatever they wanted? Because that's another really, really great way to get ideas, but always just kind of have that mutual respect to ask permission first. And, you know, I would say 99% of the time, the other person absolutely has no problem with it. Yeah.
Any other questions? Did we cover everything?
I think we did.
Just looking at my notes real quick. Lack of faith in yourself. PD. All the time. Driving to work, doing dishes. Anytime you have like dead airspace, put some earphones in and just listen. I know for me, I can't read a book. Like, it's very hard for me to get through books, but I can whiz through them on Audible. Or even like YouTube has great stuff for free that you can find.
Podcasts are a really great way, and usually those are short, so if you don't have a super long commute, you know, 10 or 15 minutes, then podcasts could definitely be the way to go, because a lot of those episodes are fairly short.
And the National Wake Up Call is really good too, and they're all in the back office, and that will also breed the confidence of the business and the products and kind of knowing what you're doing. They're a little longer, but you could always fast forward to the people or the guest speaker. So. Yeah. Anybody? Questions? You can unmute yourself. No? All right. Michelle, anything?
Nope, covered it.
All right.
Guys.
That was awesome. Short and sweet.
It was good.
All right, guys.
All right, we'll talk to y'all soon.
Yes. Bye. Thank you for hopping on.
Bye, everybody.